Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Robert Rodden with us. He leads up the accounting and finance division at TempMe Staffing. So welcome to the show, Robert.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Tyler. How are you doing today?
Awesome, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I can't complain.
Great. Thanks for coming on again. We appreciate it. And we will dive into the first question. The first question I have for you, Robert, is what's the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
That's a great question. It's not really the most enjoyable story, I guess you could say. But in my younger years, I was actually kicked out of my house for a little while and became. I wasn't homeless or anything by any means, but it wasn't a pleasant experience, and rightfully so. I deserved it. And after I was kicked out, one of my best friends from high school actually passed away, excuse me. And, it made me appreciate the little things in life a little bit better, and developed my relationship with my parents a lot better. So that's, it's one of the underlying stories I guess I can say about that.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Yeah, I would say everyone should have to or should know a trusted headhunter. When we call you or call your company, there's a reason behind it. We know something or somebody is leaving the company or is anticipating leaving. And, it's always great to have one of us in your back pocket. Just keep in mind that there is a reason why we are calling your company.
And what's your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
Yeah, I would say the best advice I could give, don't, leave your personal stuff at the door. When you come in every day, give it 110% from a professional and business standard. There's nothing wrong with having personal relationships, friends at the office place, but, don't bring in any baggage or anything like that. When you come into work, be ready and fully prepared.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
It's another segment in itself, I guess you could say. Let's see. I would tell myself, everyone is not out to get you. At a younger age, I was very hard-headed, I guess you could say. But I learned from it. It was a growing experience. There's a lot of times, I beat the wooden path, I guess you could say, and went a different direction that I wish I hadn't gone down. But everything's good to go now. I'm in a different place. I would tell my younger self to, not go off the beaten path too much. That would be my advice.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
I would say the key to happiness is, doing something, you're passionate about. Let's see. The key to happiness is, surround yourself with people that make you happy. If you're surrounding yourself with nonsense, I guess you could say, it's going to come back to you and bite you in the rear end. But if you surround yourself with good people, good vibes, that is my key to happiness personally. And
what's the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
I just finished up Influence. It's called The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's got a crazy Italian last name. But that's the last book I've read. And the best thing I learned from it was the principle of scarcity. People, they want what they can't have, or they want to know the unknown. So that was great for my business aspect of things.
And what's your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote would be, rather than love, than money, than fame, give me truth, by Henry David Thoreau. I originally found it when I was watching one of my favorite movies, Into the Wild. slowly become my, favorite quote. All of that stuff is all well and dandy, love, money, and fame. But if you don't know the truth about it, that's what it is. And that's what has carried over for me throughout my life.
Yes, man. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where's the best place for people to find you online?
Yeah, the best place for people to find me online will be LinkedIn. From a business standpoint, you can find me at Robert Rodden, Rodden, and I will be under the Temp Me Staffing. That'll be the business that I'm with.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. Have a wonderful day.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.